Well, the national anthem concluding here on a Friday afternoon as it's time for the state playoffs to begin. And today's matchup features the visiting Ridgeline Riverhawks and the home team, the Spanish Fork Dons. Great to be with everybody. I'm Ryan Pickens alongside Chris Hurst. And Chris, we've got maybe a little bit of a sense of a deja vu feeling for both of these teams. The second time that they've seen each other this season, with Spanish Fork winning the first one.
You're absolutely right. Spanish Fork won that game 8-22, and that was clear back on August 18th, first game of the season. So for one of these teams, it'll be their first game of the season and the last game.
So it'll be interesting to see. The winner will advance to play next week against either Stansbury, the number 1 seed out of their region, or Cedar, the number 4 seed out of their respective region. And this is going to be setting up to be a good one. We are set and ready to go. Spanish Fork in the black tops and gray pants. Ridgeline in the white tops and white tops and blue pants. It's going to be number 21, that I believe is Porter O'Reilly, back deep to put a foot into it for the Riverhawks. Back deep to receive will be Way Stanton and I believe that's Jacob Moore, number 42, back deep. And this one will go to Stanton at about the 4-yard line. Stanton out across the 15. He's going to try to make a man miss, runs into a whole group of Riverhawks. And Ridgeline able to make the stop there. As getting in on the stop was Peyton Green. And now that offense for Spanish Fork will come out. The Dons last week dropping a game to the Orem Tigers. But Chris, an opportunity here for Spanish Fork to kind of get some positive momentum going. The Dons ended that game, though, by able to put some points up on the board.
Yeah, they fell down, I believe, was it 35-7, and then were able to fight back and get a couple of late touchdowns. Spanish Fork definitely threw the ball more in that game than they wanted to, so they'll definitely look for Lomax tonight.
It will be Carson Chappell here. Will be from shotgun. Now they're set and ready to go here, first down and 10. 4 wide receivers here for Spanish Fork. Mateen Lomax the back. They'll send Noah Conway in motion. Here's the give right up the middle. Here's Lomax. He's going to go straight ahead and hits just a big group of Riverhawks. Gets back to the line of scrimmage, and that will make it second down and 10.
And the first time these two teams met, Lomax was able to get 115 yards rushing in that ball game and really shouldered the load, and they had an 11-minute drive. Looks like Ridgeline's adjusted to the run up the middle.
Second down and 10. Chappell from the gun, ready to go here with 4 wide receivers. Chappell gives it straight ahead. Here's Lomax. He's into the middle of the field as he will make a couple of men miss. He's pulled down around the 37-yard line. That's a first down for Spanish Fork, and the Dons are in business here. And that's a lot of what we saw, Chris, from Spanish Fork in the first meeting. They had that big 11-minute drive to open up the ball game.
Yeah, they did, and that's exactly the way they did it, was just handing the ball off to Lomax and letting him get a full head of steam and going up the middle like he did on that last play.
So it'll be a first down here for...
Yeah. I think they're making Williams, number 23, run off the field there because of blood or something.
He's taking off his glove over on the Ridgeline sideline here. Chappell from shotgun here with 4 wide receivers on first and 10 from the Ridgeline 38. Back to throw. Chappell throws this one out, and that's going to be completed. Making the catch and then slipping was number 88. That's Dallas Iera on the reception, and Iera there able to pick up a good gain of about 6 or 7. And those are the sort of throws you want Carson Chappell, Chris, to feel comfortable with early on, because, boy, that opens up that shot over the top.
Yeah, if you can get those corners and those safeties to sneak up, they have the big play capability with Stanton and Saili, and not to mention Noah Conway.
Speaking of Conway, he goes in motion right here, straight up the middle. Here's Lomax, and again, he's going to get a half a yard or so. Good pursuit there. That was Peyton Green and a couple of others for Ridgeline getting there. Brings up a third down and probably about 3 yards or so here for the Dons as they'll look to try to convert early on. Chris, that's one thing you and I talked about before coming on the air, was be very careful that you don't think this is the same Ridgeline team you saw week 1 of the season.
Yeah, they've made a lot of adjustments, and they've got some great coaches at Ridgeline.
Right up the middle here, Lomax, he won't get it. He'll be about a half a yard, and he might even be more of a full yard short of the marker, and that will likely be team for Spanish Fork. And Ridgeline's defense stands strong there on the first drive of the series.
Yeah, and for Spanish Fork, though, they were able to pick up a first down and definitely switch the field here. Also watch for Stanton. He likes to do that rugby-style punt, and I believe he has the green light for a fake at any time.
Chance Parker back deep to receive the punt. He's calling fair catch, goes back to about his own 9-yard line where he'll call for the fair catch. And so Ridgeline will start deep in their own territory, but the Riverhawks in that first matchup, Chris, they liked the run, and they liked those kind of short passes out into the flat.
Yeah, it was almost like they were running the Wildcat formation the entire game. They're going to, at least in week one, they always send a guy in motion. The quarterback would either hand it off or throw it in the flat or short passes. But it seemed like they liked to huddle up, but they definitely went shotgun and used a lot of motion pre-snap.
It will be Brady Stewart will be the quarterback, at least here to start taking the snap. Stewart is a kind of a dual threat kind of a quarterback, and he'll roll out going back to the other sideline, being chased and being ran out of bounds by number 18 for Spanish Fork. That is Spencer Tonga getting there, and Tonga there just keeping Brady Stewart in check. And Chris, that's kind of the challenge when you have a quarterback that's a dual threat guy like Brady Stewart. You really have to find a way to kind of keep him from having a lot of running lanes.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Stewart has 679 yards rushing and 8 touchdowns to 752 yards passing and 13 touchdowns. So he's the definition of a dual threat quarterback.
2nd down and 7, ball on the 14-yard line. Stewart takes a high snap. This one's back in the end zone. Stewart will pick it up. The ball still loose. Spanish Fork, I think, recovers it, being a safety here for Spanish Fork. And it will be a 2-0 lead for the Dons.
Yeah, great job by the Dons there, getting back there and forcing Stewart to jump on it. But if you're Stewart and you're in that situation, he tried to pick it up. It might be best to just throw that out the back of the end zone, because that was nearly a huge touchdown for Spanish Fork.
And I think Spanish Fork I think the Dons' initial inclination is head coach Preston Parrish. You saw him go out there to the 20-yard line. I think he was saying, Chris, hey, didn't we recover that? But nonetheless, it's going to give Spanish Fork good position in a 2-0 lead here with 8:56 to play here in the first quarter.
Yeah, I wonder if we could see that on the replay, because my initial thought was that they had recovered it in the end zone, but there was about 75 people in between me and the play.
So right now they'll kick it off here from the 20. At the high school level, they have the option of either kicking it from the 20, or they can do the old-fashioned kind of punt. And so right here, they'll have that option, and instead they will go back here and go to punt it here. And here's the punt, comes away, goes down to the 25-yard line. Wade Stanton here trying to get outside, makes the man miss. A flag comes in at the 36-yard line, and that will move it back here to about the 36-yard line right here.
Yeah, and it looks like Saili might have had a block in the back there.
Back here for sure, right here. And so right now they'll move it back here to the 25-yard line right here as they get ready to go here. They'll move it back here inside the 40-yard line right here. They'll go ahead and it looks like they'll mark it off probably somewhere around the 30.
Yeah, and for Spanish Fork, one of the things they've got to clean up if they want to make a run here in the playoffs is penalties. They've had a lot of them this season, and that's something they definitely can improve on. Although that's not necessarily a bad thing, because sometimes when you have penalties, it means you're being aggressive.
Moving the ball back here to about the 20, or back to exactly the 30-yard line for Carson Chapel. They'll throw the screen. Getting out to Conway, has to watch the block in the back there, but it looks like no call, and that's going to be right around the 30-yard line. You can block in the shoulder pad, Chris, but when you start getting the back there, that's a tough call for the officials.
Yeah, and I think since Hunter Clark let up on that block that they didn't call it, he definitely wasn't in position. He did give a push, but if you're making an attempt at a block and the defender runs, he did the right thing by stopping. I think that's why they didn't penalize him on that play.
At the end of the day, it just gets Spanish Fork back to the original line of scrimmage. It brings up a 2nd down and 10 for the Dons here. With 3 wide receivers, it's Carson Chappell from shotgun. Mateen Lomax, or sorry, that's not Lomax in the backfield. Back to throw. Chappell looking on that deep out route, but it doesn't look like he put enough on it, and that will bring up a 3rd and 10. It may have maybe tipped the line too. Brings up a 3rd down.
Yeah, and if you're Spanish Fork, you don't want to go 3 and out, but at the same time, a punt's not the end of the world here. As if you try and force a pass here, you could have an interception and give up some points that way, or give Ridgeline great field position.
3rd down and 10 here for Spanish Fork. The Dons looking to try to see if they can move the football here down the field. Chappell throws high and over the head of the intended receiver. That is Iera right there.
Yeah, and that Iera was running the post that time, the deep post. He had it open. He had a step on the guy, but Chappell just overthrew it. A little misfire on that play.
And it brings up a 4th down and 10, and that's will once again bring in Stanton, I believe, to punt. And Chance Parker, number 6, will go back deep here to receive for Ridgeline. Stanton with the punt. It's a good kind of line drive kick. Takes a nice bounce to the 30. Bounces up. I thought Parker there was going to come up and field that. Instead, it will roll inside the 20, and it will be down at about the 18-yard line here with 7:45 to play in the first quarter. And it's an exciting day, Chris. The weather is, I don't think you could have drawn up a better day for Friday late afternoon football.
Yeah, especially for this season. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. I guess we'd call that perfect weather for high school football.
I'm going to call it perfect weather anyway. It's sunny. It's 60 degrees or so. Maybe not ideally perfect, but in my book, compared to what we could have.
For football, it's perfect, though. You're going to the beach? Probably not.
Brady Stewart hands off there to number 8. That is, I believe, Micah White there on the kind of reverse there. White will get a couple of yards there for Ridgeline. Brings up a 2nd. It will be a 2nd and about 8 coming up.
Yeah, and if you're Ridgeline here, last time they gave up 2 points by having a bad snap, so I'm curious to watch how the center does on this possession, because we've seen Salem Hill's deep snapper earlier this year. He got really rattled when he had a couple of bad snaps.
Well, here's our first look at it, Chris, with Stewart back in the shotgun formation here. Good snap. They get it off Skylar Averett up the middle. Averett will fight his way ahead to right around the 23-yard line. Picks up another gain of about 2 and sets up a 3rd down and about 6 coming up for Ridgeline here with 6:54 to go here in the first quarter. 2-0 Spanish Fork. The Dons able to find a way to get benefit from a high snap, I should say. It went into the end zone last drive for Ridgeline.
Yeah, Ridgeline's lucky to be down only 2-0 and not either 6 or 7.
3rd down and 6. Stewart from shotgun. He's going to roll out. Now steps up, looking downfield, looking for the sideline route. That is Sam Wada, and that one's going to be...
He dropped it.
They're going to say, it's going to say, caught it right in front of head coach Preston Parrish, and that's going to be good enough for a 1st down, Chris, but you seem to have a bigger... kind of beat on that one there.
Well, I don't know if he necessarily dropped it, but when he was coming to the sideline, he was still bobbling that ball, so it should have been an incomplete pass. But we have the perfect angles that happen right outside our booth.
1st down and 10 nonetheless here for Ridgeline. The Riverhawks trying to get something going here with 6:27 to play here in the first quarter. Stewart from shotgun, going to give it straight up the middle. Here's Averett, and Averett with maybe one of the more productive runs of the afternoon here for Ridgeline, getting out across the 40 to the 41-yard line, picking up there about 4, and that's kind of maybe might be Ridgeline's game right now, Chris. Try to get 4 yards or so a carry and try to roll out with some play action.
Yeah, and they've got some runners on this team. Everett comes in with 703 yards and 8 touchdowns to go on with the quarterback Stewart's nearly 700 yards, and he has 8 touchdowns as well, so they definitely have the capability to run the ball.
2 backs in there. It's Cameron Dale, number 29, as Stewart will drop back to throw. Throws that quick out route. He's got Wada again. That's going to be another first down. Wada making a couple of men miss, and he'll have a first down into Spanish Fork territory around the 47-yard line.
Yeah, Wada, he is the big receiver here for Ridgeline with nearly 450 yards in receptions and receiving yards, I should say. And he's been a big target here, and he looks like he's a lot taller than the defensive backs that the Dons have. So the Dons are going to have to maybe bump him a little more when he's coming off the line.
We don't have height here on the Ridgeline roster, but I would probably say he's looking somewhere in the ballpark of 6'2", 6'3". Here's the give. Stewart just quickly there on the read. He takes it outside. He's going to have about a good 5, maybe 6 yards down the sideline. Nice pickup there. Just kind of a straight kind of triple option look, kind of a read there from Brady Stewart.
Yeah, and I've noticed one thing. Ridgeline isn't using the motion that they did in the first week. They've definitely changed this offense, or maybe not changed it, but tweaked what they're doing. But they've been very efficient on this drive, especially being balanced in their attack.
Definitely trying to win the time of possession battle right now here with 5:07 to play here in the quarter. This is the first real sustained drive here for Ridgeline here on their second one of the game. Here's Brady Stewart on the quarterback draw play there with the option. And that's going to be enough for another first down. And there's that motion, Chris, that you were talking about. We saw almost out on every play back in week 1 and a lot of that quarterback draw.
Right, and it's good to mix it up because it seemed like they ran that the entire game and it didn't work. But that time it did work, and I think it's because they had ran some plays to really set it up. So it's turning into quite the interesting chess match here.
Ball down to the Spanish Fork 34-yard line, 1st and 10 with 4:40 to go here in the first quarter. 4 wide receivers here for Ridgeline. Stewart rolling out, looking towards the sideline, and that one just thrown way too far. Looking, I believe, there for number 7, Jacob Mora was the intended receiver there, and that brings up second down.
Yeah, but it looked like Riley Hess for Spanish Fork could have been the real receivers. He was the closest one to the ball, but that was out of bounds quite a few yards.
Second down and 10, and these are the positions, Chris, you really want if you're Spanish Fork to set a tone. You really don't want them picking up first downs anytime, really, but you really want to try to put them in 3rd and long.
Yeah, you do, and so this second down's critical to set up that situation.
I formation. Here's a give right up the middle, and Averett this time going nowhere as it was Ben Boyack, number 36, getting there from his linebacker spot. The junior was right in the backfield and was able to bring down Averett, and that brings up a 3rd down and now about 12 or so.
Yeah, so if you're Spanish Fork, I'm going to find where Sam Wida is on the field, and I'm going to make sure he's double covered or at least bumped off the line, because he's the guy they're going to want to go to. Ridgeline will want to go to in this situation.
Wida goes to the top of your screen here on the 3rd and 12 play. Stewart from shotgun back to throw with some time. Looking down the field, a lot of coverage there. Stewart now cuts it back. He's got some green, looking downfield. Now he's just going to take off. He will make a couple of men miss and dives for the marker there. It's going to be a yard or so short. But nonetheless, right there, Spanish Fork did exactly what you wanted to do there, making Brady Stewart work.
Yeah, they did. Unfortunately, they didn't wrap up on a couple of these tackles, and Stewart was able to fight for, another 5 yards after contact, and they'll be able to have 4th and 1 here instead of maybe 4th and 5.
4th down and a yard, and it's just about a full yard or so. Right here, it's Stewart and Averett in the backfield.
Look for Stewart just to run up the middle here.
Stewart rolling out, now tries to keep it up the middle, and he didn't get it. He maybe got back to the line of scrimmage, but the Dons were there and make a huge 4th down stop. And now Spanish Fork's offense will retake the field here with 3:03 to go in the first quarter. And, Chris, that's kind of one of those plays where you can kind of tell it's coming here with a good opportunity there just to run that quarterback draw.
Yeah, and Kimball Morley was not fooled on that play, and he made an excellent tackle, did a great job of wrapping up, because we know Stewart's elusive, and now Spanish Fork's back in business with the ball on their own 26.
Whistles blow as the penalty flag comes in from the far sideline here, and I think Ridgeline may have had 12 men they went to get somebody off late. And it will be a penalty here against the Riverhawks. We'll see what it's going to be.
Well, you're right. They did say illegal substitution. The referee said that back there, and so Spanish Fork gets a free 5 yards.
1st and 5 from the 31 here for Carson Chappell and the Dons offense. Gives right up the middle. Here's Mateen Lomax, who will fight again, and he will just get back. He may have gotten a half a yard or so, maybe a full yard. Nonetheless, it brings up about 2nd and 4.
Right. And for Spanish Fork, though, I'd like to see him maybe on 1st down one of these times, fake that handoff and go play action, because at times they're predictable, but one way to prevent being predictable is to change it up and go play action.
4 wide receivers here for Spanish Fork. Carson Chappell from shotgun. Mateen Lomax there. There's the play action. Chappell tries to keep it right up the middle, and he runs into a host of Riverhawks as the official gets taken out there on the play, and Carson Chappell will be a couple of yards short of the markers. He'll get the 34.
A great push by the line that time. I don't know if that was a designed run. If it was, it definitely was a delay. And, geez, I thought Chappell was going to lose 2 yards, and instead he ends up gaining 1.
It'll be 3rd down and 3 to go for Spanish Fork. They need just to get to around the 37-yard line here to convert. 3 receivers to the bottom of your screen, 1 to the top. Here's Chappell on the quarterback option. He's going to be hit short of the marker. They're going to give him a little bit. Looks like he might have gotten a little bit further progress than I initially thought. He's going to be probably a half a yard short or so.
But, man, was that sound defense. They took away the running back. Chappell kept it, and he got destroyed by Bowen on that tackle.
And I think they're going to measure it here, as it was close, and they will now call timeout here to measure.
But you're 100% correct on that spot. There's no way he made it as far as they said he did.
Very favorable spot. They spotted it right around the 35.5-yard line. He needed right around the 36 to get a 1st down. It's going to be close here. He's going to be about a couple of chains short. Maybe about 3 or so chain links short there of getting the 1st down. Decision time coming here for Spanish Fork, but Chris, it's kind of a tough decision here with how tough Ridgeline's been against the run. How confident are you right now you can get a half yard?
Wow, this is a tough decision. I guess they're fairly confident because they're going for it, but I guess anybody could make an argument for why you might want to punt.
Boyack comes in as the lead blocker. It's Lomax right up the middle. He'll have enough for the 1st down to around the 39-yard line. That will be a good enough for a Don's 1st down. And right there, one of the more productive runs we've seen here of the quarter from Mateen Lomax, especially his last 3 or 4 carries. There hasn't been much going on.
Yeah, that wasn't Lomax, though. That was the right side of that line and the fullback. They got a great push on that. I saw Ridgeline bunching up, and I was worried Spanish Fork wasn't going to get it, but the offensive line would not be denied that time.
Noah Conway goes in motion, and it'll be Chappell back to throw. Play action, taking a shot deep for Stanton, and that one thrown about 2 or 3 yards in front of Stanton there, as Stanton got a step or 2 on the defender right there.
He did, and I think Chappell just put a little too much on that, but I think he had enough time. I'm not 100% sure, but he had enough time to maybe take another half second and set up for Stanton to get a little bit further, but that would have been a huge completion for Spanish Fork. But that should, like we talked about, open up the run a little bit, because now they have to respect the deep pass as well.
2nd down and 10 here for Spanish Fork. Ball on the 39-yard line. Chappell to throw. Looking down towards the sideline. That went incomplete, as Chappell there put a lot there on that one. Going down the sideline brings up a 3rd and 10.
And I wonder if Carson Chappell has a lot of adrenaline going on. That is, I believe, the 3rd pass that has been overthrown. And sometimes when you get in these playoff situations, the adrenaline gets rushing, and sometimes you just are a little amped up too much.
You have to remember a lot of these Dons who are now seniors, like Carson Chappell, who drops back to throw with some time. Looking, that one in the middle, has Stanton for a first down and more. Stanton cuts back into the middle of the field. He'll have inside the 40 to about the Ridgeline 36 or so. A nice pick up there from Chappell to Stanton, as it looked like from first thought that Chappell might have been going to one receiver, but there was Stanton right there in the middle.
Yeah, it looked like two guys were running in routes that time, and Stanton was a little bit more delayed, but I'm like, who's he throwing it to? I didn't even see Stanton. Maybe it was because this thing's in our vision here in the booth. We got a pole in the way, but I didn't see Stanton at all.
First down and 10, ball on the 36-yard line. Chappell back to throw over the middle. Has a man wide open. That is Clark, and he will score. Touchdown, Spanish Fork. Chappell to number 6. Hunter Clark, the junior wide receiver, gets in, and he was wide open.
Wow, and Clark was running a post that time, and he went undetected and then ran right past the safety. Chappell puts it on the numbers, and Hunter was able to run that one in, and huge play, and quite the quarter for Spanish Fork. They're up 8-0 right now.
Spencer Red will come on for the point after touchdown try. High snap, they're going to get it down, and Spencer Red will put it through. So a high snap, both teams kind of getting those snaps under, having maybe a hard time with a couple of those snaps, but Spanish Fork takes a 9-0 lead here with 15 seconds to play in the quarter. Let's take a moment to thank our sponsors for making this and every week's broadcast possible. We want to thank Tony Basso, the Car Guys, Triple T Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing, MVP Sports, Dickerson Automotive, Mikkel Christiansen and Wise, Attorneys at Law, Two Jacks Pizza, and Lance Wilson State Farm Insurance. We thank everybody for making these broadcasts possible. We also want to remind you can follow our pages on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram to keep up with the latest shows, live broadcasts, and our SF17 staff. Just look for Spanish Fork 17. One of the best ways, Chris, to utilize some of our social media may be to find out if we have a broadcast next week. We're kind of to be determined still 100%. I think we're hoping to be able to broadcast the second round game.
Well, the key is, since we're broadcasting Spanish Fork and Maple Mountain games, is to have Spanish Fork win this game, and that'll give us the best opportunity.
Spencer Red kicks this one over towards the sideline. It is going to be number 20. It's going to be 23 on the return for Ridgeline, who slips and falls. And the Riverhawks there, as that was Hayden Williams, the senior, back deep there on the return, kind of slipped there on the grass. And with 10 seconds to play here in the quarter, you would think potentially this final play of the quarter is coming here. But really right now, the Ridgeline, they've had a couple of possessions. Chris, what are you seeing right now from the Riverhawks?
Well, they had a great drive. That last one, they just came up a little short on fourth down, but they've done a great job of running and then actually using the run to set up the pass. And I think they've done a better job of mixing up their play call compared to the first time we saw them here when they played Spanish Fork back in August.
Brady Stewart all by himself, back to throw, taking a shot over the middle, has Wada. That's going to be good enough for a first down to the 36-yard line. Once again, Brady Stewart looking for Wada again over the middle. And boy, Spanish Fork having a tough time right now in the middle with Sam Wada.
Yeah, and Wada's come up with 3 big catches in the first quarter, and that one will provide Ridgeline with a first down.
That will end the first quarter. At the end of one, it's Spanish Fork 9, Ridgeline 0. You're watching high school football here on Spanish Fork 17.
Need a new car or truck? The Car Guys has the best selection of used vehicles at the best prices in Spanish Fork. The Car Guys know their automobiles to get you the best car for your needs and your budget. The Car Guys at 872 North Main in Spanish Fork.
Is this my car?
State Farm knows that for every one of those moments, there's one of these. That's why State Farm is there, with car insurance for when things go wrong, but also here with car loans to help life go right.
Call State Farm agent Lance Wilson today.
Nobody plans on getting in an accident, but if it does happen, you can rely on the expertise of Mike McKell to protect and fight for your rights. Specializing in personal injury law, Mike McKell is the attorney you need. Contact Mike at McKell, Christiansen, and Wise.
Well, back here at Spanish Fork High School, at Spanish Fork 9, Ridgeline having their next possession here. The Riverhawks held off the scoreboard in the first quarter as Brady Stewart throws over the middle. He's got his man there. That's number 29, Cameron Dale, on the catch. And Dale there, nice job over the middle. We've seen Ridgeline throw the football a little bit more this afternoon, Chris, than we saw back in week 1 in August.
Yeah, and they're pretty efficient in their passes. They're not really doing anything fancy or trying to go deep, but it's short dink and dunk routes or intermediate routes to Ouida has really been their bread and butter so far.
2nd down and 6 here for the Riverhawks. Ridgeline in the silver helmets, white tops and blue pants. Spanish Fork, silver helmets, black tops and silver pants. Here's the give up the middle again. Nothing going on there with the run. Maybe back to the line of scrimmage there for the back, and I believe
it was Wilson that time, or Williams.
Hayden Williams, the senior there, getting the carry. You'll see 2 or 3 different backs here for Ridgeline tonight here, and the big 3rd and 6 here for the Riverhawks. Looking to try to move the chains here. The winner of this one advances to play either Cedar or Stansbury next week. 3 receivers, 2 to the top of your screen, 1 all the way split to the bottom. Back to throw with some time. Steps up. Stewart now going to try to take off. He's going to be close, and he's a nice tackle coming up from the secondary, as that was number 21, Zach Buse, coming up and making the nice open field tackle there on the quarterback, Chris. And, boy, just kind of came in, wrapped up well, and that kept their Brady Stewart from getting the first down.
Yeah, that was a huge tackle because it looked like Stewart was going to be able to get it, maybe try to do some of his shiftiness, but Buse had none of it as he fired up and just tackled him short of the first down marker.
Ridgeline back to punt. Way Stanton a minute or so late to getting on the field here, and the Riverhawks will put a foot into it. Stanton will watch this one bounce inside the 20, takes a nice bounce. Stanton slips, and that one will roll dead inside the 10, back at about the 8-yard line with 9:51 to go in the second quarter. The Spanish Fork offense, Chris, maybe hasn't looked as crisp as we've seen them in the first couple of, or the last few times we've seen them, Chris, but boy, this offense starting to kind of maybe start to roll a little bit.
Yeah, they've found some rhythm this season, especially as they've moved into region play, what's given them confidence. But they did struggle a little bit last week with Orem, but they got that rolling as well. So you're right, but I think Spanish Fork, if they want to continue to have a lot of success on offense, I think they're going to have to keep a balanced attack and keep running up the middle with either Morley or Lomax.
So it will be Carson Chappell here from shotgun. Noah Conway goes in motion. It's Lomax in the backfield, back to throw. Looking there into the flat. That one double covered. That one goes incomplete, looking for Conway. And that will bring up a 2nd and 10.
Yeah, 2nd and 10 and really nowhere to go. And they almost got a couple of yards there on that short dink and dunk pass. But really good defense that time by the Riverhawks.
So right now brings up a 2nd and 10 for Spanish Fork. Carson Chappell, and that's Kimball Morley in the backfield as Conway goes in motion. Here's the give to Morley, cuts it up the middle, and now, again, not much going through the middle right there. You have to give this Ridgeline defensive line done a great job tonight, this afternoon, Chris. They've really, I think, almost won that battle up front in the trenches.
Yeah, well, I think it's been a very competitive balance. It just depends on the play. Both teams are picking their spots and winning their battles, but I think both teams are playing hard, and this is going to be a difficult 3rd down for Spanish Fork to pick up here. And it's at some point you might want to say, hey, let's not turn the ball over. Let's be smart here. If we have to punt, it's not the end of the world. We've just lost our scoreboard.
We just lost the scoreboard here, so it'll be 3rd down and 10 coming up. Chappell back to throw, throws the screen pass, and that's not going to get enough for the first down. The ball, I think, might have came loose. And no, it didn't. Saw some extracurricular going back and forth here.
Yeah, there was some pushing and shoving at the end of the play. Some of the guys were getting to know each other's strength a little better. No harm, no foul. The officials keep their penalties in their pockets, and Smash Fork will be forced to punt from within their own end zone.
So Stanton will come on to punt back deep again. It will be Chance Parker for Ridgeline back at his own 50. Stanton rolling out, and now he'll punt it at the last minute. Parker will get away from it. It will take a nice Spanish Fork bounce and roll some more inside the 40, and it will roll dead at about the 36-yard line. And that's where we'll see Ridgeline, who will have decent field position to start their next drive here with 8 minutes and 12 seconds to play before halftime.
Well, it definitely helps when Spanish Fork's punter's able to punt 54 yards, and really it looked like Ridgeline was going to start with excellent field position, but Stanton, by doing his rugby-style punt, got up to the line of scrimmage a little bit closer and then kicked it away.
So it'll be interesting to see here. Sorry, just trying to get ready for halftime here. We'll get some scores from throughout the 4A tournament and maybe some of the other classifications, some teams here in the local area having some home playoff games. Here, Brady Stewart will be from shotgun set. Here's the give. Stewart going to take it right up the middle on the option play, and Stewart gets a couple of yards out to about the 36, and, well, that's actually going to be, Chris, probably right back to the line of scrimmage for Stewart.
Yeah, great job by the defensive end on that play, or outside linebacker, I should say, that had really good contain, and Gavin Campbell took the quarterback that time. They're doing a good job of making sure that they, on that option play, that they're taking away both the running back and the quarterback.
Second down and 10 for Ridgeline. Ball on the 36-yard line. Riverhawks still to get there. Here's the straight-up option play, and Gavin Campbell again having none of it. Him, and I believe it was Boyack getting there on the tackle. A nice job there, Chris, and like you just said, they made a good job accounting for the quarterback, and there they accounted for both the quarterback and the running back again.
Yeah, and it looks like maybe that Campbell initially took away the running back and then moved to the quarterback. I think they could have pitched it out to Stewart, could have pitched it out to Everett that time and maybe had a seam, but nonetheless, he didn't have much time to think at all.
Third down and 12 coming up here for Ridgeline. Shotgun with two backs set. One man goes in motion. That's Hayden Bowen, number 81, at the bottom of your screen. Stewart looking out in the flat. That one's going to go incomplete. Looking there for the intended wide receiver was number 8. That was Micah White. And that will bring up fourth down. And again, the Spanish Fork defense, Chris, have really forcing Ridgeline into situations that they don't want to be in. They're another 3rd and 12, and we can see Ridgeline not having an easy time trying to convert.
Right, and Spanish Fork, with the luxury of knowing it was a passing down, went ahead and blitzed, and that forced Stewart to throw the ball faster than he wanted to.
A punt away. It will be Stanton who will call for a fair catch at the 32. Bobbled the football, but able to pull it back in. It was 6:31 to go here in the second quarter. Let's take a moment here on Spanish Fork 17 to thank our sponsors who make each and every broadcast.
We have the Car Guys, Dickerson Automotive, Lance Wilson State Farm Insurance, Triple T, Mikkel Christian, Hanson Wise, Attorneys at Law, MVP Sports, 2 Jacks Pizza, and also we'd like you to like us on Facebook and Instagram, and you can watch these broadcasts and other broadcasts on YouTube. So go ahead and follow us on all those social network sites.
Here's the give. Mateen Lomax breaks into the secondary. He's got enough for the first down, and that's across the 45. He's brought down finally at the 48-yard line. A nice job there. Mateen Lomax, Chris, we mentioned it earlier in the season. He's not a running back that you're going to get away with one-on-one arm tackles.
You're 100% correct. He is a load to bring down, and when he gets a couple steps, he gets that forward momentum. He's got that low center of gravity. That's a guy I wouldn't want to tackle personally. Of course, I wouldn't want to tackle anybody right now.
First down and 10, ball on the 48-yard line for Carson Chappell and the Spanish Fork offense. Chappell back to throw on play action, gets it in the middle. Noah Conway inside the 40 to the 35-yard line. Spanish Fork picking up another first down right here and just going back to that simple kind of slant route.
Yeah, great job. And that was all set up by the run that time as Chappell was able to fake the handoff to Lomax and then quickly find Conway in rhythm on that slant route.
First down and 10 coming for Spanish Fork. Here's the give up the middle to Mateen Lomax. Lomax gets a couple down to about the 34-yard line. Brings up, well, he'll get a yard there. Brings up a 2nd down and 9.
A 2nd down and 9, but the offense, I think, has found a little bit of a rhythm where they're keeping Ridgeline guessing and whether they're going to either throw or run out of that formation. So not the play you were looking for on first down, but no sweat yet.
Brings up 2nd and 9 here. 5:18 to play before halftime. Spanish Fork trying to add to their lead. Here's Chappell on the keeper. He's got a couple blockers. He'll slide down at around the 24-yard line. They'll give him the 23, and that's a Spanish Fork first down.
And Chappell, who also plays baseball, got to utilize his baseball slide there and picks up the first down. And, you know, Spanish Fork's rolling here with minutes to go.
Inside 25-yard line here. Spanish Fork driving here before halftime. All 3 of their timeouts. Ridgeline, 3 of theirs. 4 wide receivers. Stand up your screen. The now it's picked up. Chappell threw it right to number 81 for Ridgeline. Across the 50-yard line. Owen, the flags, however, that are down. One, I believe, came in here over towards the.
Might be a sideline warning, but I wonder the head on the tackle on that play. I just missed our replay, but it looked like that was the sideline warning.
So it will be a sideline warning. That's a big momentum changer there. Carson Chappell trying to go back, I think, to that. Oh, and just fell.
Yeah, and Hayden was on the defensive line, jumped back from his defensive line position, and was able to use his long reach and just pick that ball off. I don't even think Chappell saw him until the ball was going the other direction.
Down here for Ridge, going to be in the Spanish Fork side of the field at the 48-yard line. 9-0 lead now for Spanish Fork. And Brady in the gun. He will the pass there. They get out. That's completed. And diving ahead of this minute, White. No, that was number 8. Sorry, White there on the catch.
And I think if Ridgeline can get the ball to the edges, they have a lot of up the middle. I think Fork might have the advantage here on defense. But if I'm Ridgeline, I'm looking to do similar screen. Get the ball to
2nd down and 10. Stewart in the pistol formation here. Averett gets the call up the middle. Have enough for the like with forward progress to 6.5-yard line. That will be easily enough for a first down. And right there, nice job there for Ridgeline, able to build off that play. That interception, though, going back to that, Chris, that defensive play there could kind of springboard the offense a little bit, or at least that's what you're hoping right now if you're Chris Howell and the Ridgeline Riverhawks.
Yeah, for sure. And the one thing it did is it got Ridgeline into plus territory before they even started this drive.
First down and 10, ball on about the 37-yard line. The kind of an I formation look. Well, here as the give goes up the middle to Averett. Averett will fight his way inside the 34. He'll get the 33-yard line or so. Be a favorable spot in the 32, the 33. So a nice pickup there on first down of about 4.
Yeah, and Ridgeline's just getting yards in chunks here on this drive. And if they can get a touchdown or field goal right here before the half and take up most of the clock, I mean, they went from a disastrous situation where Spanish Fork was driving to maybe having this game be within a couple of points.
Stewart under center. Dale goes in motion. There's the give to Averett, trying to get outside, and Averett will get down to about the 32-yard line. A couple of Dons will get there to wrap up, but another hard-fought yard there for Averett.
Yeah, and he's quite the tough runner. Both him and Stewart for Ridgeline, they don't go down easy. They're not the biggest guys. They're not like Lomax that has that low center of gravity, but they're definitely scrappy and will fight and claw and spin for that extra yard when needed.
A lot of seniors on this group for Ridgeline. A lot of their key contributors, including Brady Stewart and Skylar Averett, are two of those seniors. Here it's them in the backfield again. Another bad snap. Stewart able low to collect. Is going to complete the pass to the 21-yard line. And that's Micah White down to about the 20-yard line. That's good enough for a Ridgeline first down with 2:03 to go before halftime. Ridgeline with all three of their timeouts.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. They're finally in the red zone. All three timeouts, plenty of time. They don't have to worry the clock right now. And they found their rhythm here on offense and have all the momentum.
Stewart will be all by himself here on the first down and 10 play from the 20. He'll have four wide receivers coming on. Stewart will be back to throw with some time. Steps up, is going to spin out of it, and he's going to be brought down back just shy of the line of scrimmage to bring up a second down and about 11.
And that was a great job by Spanish Fork's interior defensive line, especially Palape, who was able to make the tackle there as we have a timeout Ridgeline.
Riverhawks using their first timeout here with 1:26 to go before the half. Chris, we've talked about it here with both of these teams, and now we've seen them for almost the first half, and these look like two completely different teams than what we saw in August.
Well, the last game was a defensive battle as well as this one has been, but it just seemed like Spanish Fork had the ability to maybe run the ball a little bit easier on Ridgeline than they have so far in this game. As we saw, Lomax had over 100 yards rushing in that first game, and Ridgeline's offense struggled mightily. But I still think both defenses are playing well here.
Coming up at the half, we will have the halftime show for you here from Spanish Fork High School. We'll take a look at some of the other games throughout the state. We were going to try, and the winner of this one meets either Stansbury or Cedar. That game doesn't kick until 6, so we might have a score before we go off the air, but that one's just going to be kicked off by the time that one starts.
Let's just assume Stansbury is going to have the advantage in that game, as Cedar is the 4 seed and Stansbury's a 1 seed in a very tough region.
Stewart steps up, looking, taking a shot, has a man out there, it's caught. Touchdown Ridgeline, as it's Michael White in the end zone, and it's just like that. They've chipped within 3, pending the extra point, and Brady Stewart maybe doesn't have the best looking mechanics and wasn't necessarily set there, Chris, all the way, but delivered a good ball.
Yeah, he did, and it's amazing when you give that guy a little bit of time, he's able to complete that touchdown pass. He'd been on some of those deeper patterns. Spanish Fork's pressure had gotten to him.
O'Reilly on with the extra point. That one goes through. And with 1:20 to go before halftime, Ridgeline gets on the board, a big touchdown there to make it 9-7 Spanish Fork. And that's the sort of drive you wanted if you're Alex Howell before halftime. You get the turnover, which was big, and now you have the momentum where at least it's a close ball game getting ready to go into halftime.
Yeah, it is, and really the difference in this ball game has been that safety now that we think about it, that one bad snap that went over Stewart's head. So if you're Ridgeline, really you've had that bad play, you created one turnover with your defense, but these teams are pretty evenly matched. I imagine we're going to have ourselves a tremendous ball game this afternoon.
It will be Ridgeline football, by the way, to open the third quarter. The Dons receiving it back in the first. So Ridgeline will get it to start the third. Back deep for Spanish Fork. It's Wade Stanton. And number 22, that's Dallas Ayera back deep. This one will go over to Ayera, who will bring it out across the 8. He's across the 10 to the 15, tries to get outside, looking for a block on the edge. He's across the 20 to the 30, pushed out of bounds. At around the 36-yard line is Ayera there, as it was Chance Parker making the push out of bounds. So not a bad right there, a bad field position with 1:10. Spanish Fork with all 3 timeouts. Are you looking to maybe take a couple shots if you're the Dons?
Yeah, I would probably take a couple shots deep, and if you're not able to connect on first or second, maybe just try and pick up a first down on the ground where they might be expecting you to go deep. But I wouldn't throw anything short. I wouldn't want to give Ridgeline good field position in case of an interception.
First down at Chapel, and a penalty flag comes in. And we'll see here who this is going to go against. And my guess is and it looks like it's going to be a procedure call against Spanish Fork, which will move the Dons back 5 yards, which will push them back to the 33-yard line, Chris. And those are the penalties that really those are drive killers, but this is one that happens even before the drive starts.
Yeah, and you've just set yourself back 5 yards by not even snapping the ball, and that's one of the things that penalties does to a team is puts them in a bad position. But a lot of good teams have penalties because they're aggressive. That wasn't an aggressive penalty.
First down and 15, ball on the 33-yard line. Chappell back to throw. Steps up, makes the man miss. Now he's just going to run for the sidelines. A penalty flag comes in as Chappell there. And I believe that was Hayden Williams there, held on to Chappell all the way through. And I think a couple of the Dons didn't like that. Looking down at their sideline. Nonetheless, we'll see again what the penalty flag is here against Spanish Fork.
Was a hold that time. Looked like the tackle that time. Always a face mask. Grabbed the face mask. Assuming they were holding the face mask as well. But nonetheless, that'll bring Spanish Fork half a distance, 15 yards back, and they're not going the right direction.
And this is where you have to think, if you're Alex Howell, if you get a stop, you have to kind of wonder if maybe you don't use a couple timeouts and just see what happens.
Yeah, you could, because you might get the ball back with excellent field position.
First down and 15, and it looks like it goes the other way now. As Ridgeline saying against Spanish Fork, it looks like this is going to be another procedure against the Dons.
Yeah, I think number 71 for Ridgeline moved that time, but he moved laterally like he was shifting in his defense. I think the defensive line shifted, and for Spanish Fork, the left side of that line moved as well.
For the viewers at home, Chris, the defensive line, they can move all they want.
Well, they can move laterally. They can't move forward, and I think that's what they did on that last play.
Okay. First and 32 for Spanish Fork. Chappell gives up the middle to Lomax, who will get brought down around the 15-yard line. And now I think Preston Parrish just called a timeout here from the Spanish Fork sideline with 52.3. They don't cross the line of scrimmage. There's no penalty for them just moving, right?
Yeah, absolutely. They can move side to side, back and forth. They just can't go past that line, and I think they were just moving lateral that time as the defense did a little shift. And unfortunately for Spanish Fork, they keyed off that and jumped a little bit early, so I think that was the right call. I know some of the fans here weren't exactly thrilled about it. But, Spanish Fork just used a timeout here, which is interesting because your offense is not going the right direction. I might just be inclined to let the clock run out and see if you can't regroup.
And the tough part, too, Chris, the other thing is you call your timeout there on first. Ridgeline has 2 other timeouts here. If they get some sort of stop or an incomplete pass, that's potentially giving Ridgeline an opportunity with the ball.
Right, yeah. And if Ridgeline takes a couple shots, you never know what's going to happen.
Chappell back to throw. He will set up the screen. That one almost intercepted. Batted down, however, by number 55 there for Ridgeline. That was Brody Hunsaker from his defensive line spot. They try to set up that screen. Hunsaker right there with the hands quickly.
Yeah, great job by Hunsaker getting a big paw on that. And if he could have came up with that, I don't think anybody would have stopped him into the end zone.
So it'll be 3rd down and 32. Spanish Fork here will have to either call something conservative. I don't think he'll vertical trying to throw it deep, but we'll see. Chappell will back to throw with some time. Well, it looks like I'm wrong. They're going vertical, throwing deep for Stanton. That one incomplete. Stanton, the intended receiver, brings up 4th down, and now you're punting from deep in your deep in your own side of the field. 45 seconds. Ridgeline with 2 timeouts, and right now all the momentum.
You got all the momentum, and Spanish Fork's hoping that Stanton can have another good punt. But the way things have gone, I don't call him out for saying he might shank it, but just feels like everything's going Ridgeline's way right now.
Back deep to receive, it will be Chance Parker. He's standing back at his own about 48-yard line. Stanton for Spanish Fork inside his 5. He'll put a foot into it from about the 8-yard line. Gets off a pretty good kick towards the sidelines, and it will go out of bounds right around the 48 or so. It hit around the 47. It looks like they'll give them about the 49-yard line where they're going to say it would have bounced. And with 38.9 seconds and with a passing game, we've seen Ridgeline be able to work those kind of intermediate routes, Chris. They have some time to maybe at least get a field goal attempt there with 2 timeouts.
Yeah, they do. They've got 2 timeouts, and they're so they can throw to the middle of the field. Also, if you throw to the sideline with Weeda or one of those powerful wide receivers that gets out of bounds, you can also save yourself a timeout. And as always, the clock stops on a first down here at the high school level.
Weeda to the very bottom of your screen. Stewart back to throw. They'll go to Weeda towards the sideline there, and Weeda will pick up around 4, maybe 5 to about the 46. Looks like they'll give them 4 there on first down, just getting that simple out route. That will stop the clock with 35.9. One advantage that Spanish Fork has is the fact with the way that Stanton does that rugby-style punt, he takes 3 or 4 seconds off the clock before he even puts a foot into it.
You're absolutely right, and he gets closer to the line of scrimmage, so he doesn't have to have the distance through the air to have a huge punt.
Second down and 6, 35.9 to play here before halftime. Brady Stewart from the gun. Back to throw with some time. Pressure coming up. Stewart evades that. Throws into double coverage for Weeda, who makes the catch. Then the ball comes loose, and they're going to say incomplete is what the official from the back is saying. However, it looked like that he caught it and made a football move, but they're going to rule that one incomplete.
And he was signaling like halfway in between an incomplete pass and waving a complete. I don't know. That was he was adamant it was incomplete. I just don't know if his hand signals looked correct.
That's definitely a close call there.
I wonder if he was bobbling. I don't know. It was hard to tell.
That's one at the college level we would have saw, maybe a review or a look at for sure. Brings up a 3rd down and 6 here for Ridgeline. 28.7 to play here in the half. Weeda goes to the bottom of your screen. Caleb Lundquist, the corner for Spanish Fork, giving Weeda a nice cushion. Stewart right up the middle on the quarterback draw. He'll have the first down to about the 38-yard line. That will at least stop the clock for the time being with 20.8 on the clock. It'll be a first down to about the 37. And now a timeout called by Ridgeline. The Riverhawks here will use their second timeout of the half.
Yeah, and I don't know what their field goal range is, but they're maybe 1 or 2, maybe 10, 15 yards or so, one chunk play away from getting in field goal distance. So if I'm Ridgeline, I'm working on that first, using my timeout, and then maybe taking a couple shots to the end zone would be my thought process in this situation.
So we'll see here what head coach Alex Howell for Ridgeline came up with it. Howell won a state title in the state of Wyoming with Star Valley before coming here to Ridgeline, and it's not easy, Chris, taking over a first-year program, but Ridgeline able to get some players already from the Cache Valley area, which helped, but it's not easy, that first-year program, trying to get them going, and they have them back in the playoffs.
Yeah, and, that's a credit to the Ridgeline coaching staff, but we're seeing more and more teams have a lot of success early. In particular, Sky Ridge only lost 1 game, and it's only their second season, but you're right. It's impressive that a couple of exceptions have came out the last couple of years.
Sky Ridge was up, Chris, by the way, to let you know. They were up 28-0 at the end of the first in their opening round playoff game. Stewart's going to take a shot, looking for Weeda down the sideline, has him inside the 5, and he's going to be out of bounds at around, it looks like the 1. They're still marking it off. It will be about the 1.5, and there's that big shot that you talked about, taking down the field.
Yeah, and they still have that 1 timeout, so if they want to take a shot at running it here, he definitely went out of bounds, but Spanish Fork on their offensive possession by not running it might have cost them some valuable time to give Ridgeline on this drive.
Right up the middle, it's the quarterback, Stewart. Ridgeline signaling touchdown. It looks like he's going to be a half a yard short or so. No signal yet, 9.1. Timeout called here by Ridgeline. Their final timeout. He did not get in. He's about a half a yard short.
Well, with 9.1 seconds to go here, I mean, if you run it and you get stopped short once again, you're running out of time before the half. So I guess the question is it pretty much just your options are maybe take a shot at throwing the ball and then kicking a field goal, or do you want to risk running it?
Is this a spot where we maybe see some kind of quick slant to Wida and see if he can get the corner on the slant route?
Well, you could see a slant or a fade to the back of the end zone. Everybody loves doing the fades, especially down here this deep, and he's definitely got the body to do it. It looks like he's 6'3", and Spanish Fork's corners, Lundquist and runs about 5'11", and Hess is 5'8", so they definitely could try and throw a fade route as well.
So it'll be interesting to see what Ridgeline draws up. If you do that, you have right now with 9 seconds, Chris. You have the remaining 3 plays with 9.1. Well, but depending on what you run, you have a shot with 9.1 to probably throw it twice and then maybe go to the run on 4th.
Yeah, you could do that or you can always kick that field goal as well, or attempt to kick a field goal. But I definitely watch for Wida on the left side of your screen in either a slant or a fade situation.
It's Stewart, and then it's Hayden Williams, number 23 for Ridgeline in the backfield. Stewart from shotgun, back to throw, rolling out, being pressured, hit as he threw, and that one's incomplete as he was looking there for Cameron Dell, and now with 4.6 to go, they couldn't get it to Dell there kind of on the comeback route, and that brings up 3rd down and 1. Well, 3rd and goal from the 1.
3rd and goal from the 1, and I'm thinking you're probably running it in this situation because that last play took off about 4.5 seconds. So unless you're going to throw it quick, you've already decided you're going for the touchdown. You didn't get it on the pass. Why not try running it in this situation?
No timeouts. That's the key thing right now for Ridgeline. Wida goes to the bottom of your screen. Big kind of jump on. There's a penalty flag. Ridgeline late getting a man off, and I think we're going to have an illegal substitution, which now probably changes the entire play calls. I think they're just going to kick the 3 now.
Yeah, we see some different personnel groups here, and you're right. Ridgeline's bringing in, is it
to be 21.
Murdoch to try the field goal here, the freshman. Or O'Reilly, one of the two.
The kick is going to be a low line drive kick, and it's through as the half expires. So Ridgeline scores 10 straight points in the second quarter, and the Riverhawks have come to Spanish Fork, and they have a 1-point lead. It's Ridgeline 10, Spanish Fork 9. You're watching high school football here on Spanish Fork 17.
Hi, welcome to 2 Jack's Pizza.
For the best pizza you'll ever taste and our world-famous cheese sticks, come to 2 Jack's Pizza on Main Street in Spanish Fork, or call us for a quick delivery. Are you hungry yet?
Come to Dickerson Automotive for all your car repair and maintenance needs. Now is a great time to make sure your car is ready for these cold winter months. We take the time to get to know you and your car to give you peace of mind. Dickerson Automotive, located way north on Main in Spanish Fork.
MVP Sports is the #1 source for sporting goods in Spanish Fork. Football, soccer, all the fall sports, we've got you covered. Check out our new custom t-shirt builder. Design at home and we'll build it for you. MVP Sports, 72 North Main in Spanish Fork.
The best time to check your furnace is before it fails, and you can rely on Triple T to do the job right. Our technicians are trained every year so you can sleep better at night, knowing your furnace is safe to operate. Call Triple T at 798-7711 to schedule your tune-up today.
Back here at halftime here on Spanish Fork 17, Ryan Pickens and Chris Hurst, as right now they just have started the 15-minute clock here at Spanish Fork. It's Ridgeline leading the Spanish Fork Dons 10-9 right now. I think we're going to get ready here to have the drill team and some other halftime festivities here at Spanish Fork High School. We will join the on-field festivities here for the half. For now, here on Spanish Fork 17, we got the drill team.
Ladies and gentlemen, your last. Please welcome to the field your Spanish Fork cheerleaders. They'll be performing a routine choreographed by co-captain Kelly Woodruff. Cheerleaders. 8 minutes, 30 seconds left to go in halftime. Head on down to the snack shack and get your lunch.
All right, well, we will send it to a commercial. When we get back, we will talk about the keys to the game and get ready for the second half. You're watching high school football here on Spanish Fork 17.
Need a new car or truck? The Car Guys has the best selection of used vehicles at the best prices in Spanish Fork. The Car Guys know their automobiles to get you the best car for your needs and your budget. The Car Guys at 872 North Main in Spanish Fork.
Is this my car?
State Farm knows that for every one of those moments, there's one of these. That's why State Farm is there, with car insurance for when things go wrong, but also here with car loans to help life go right.
Call State Farm agent Lance Wilson today.
Nobody plans on getting in an accident, but if it does happen, you can rely on the expertise of Mike McKell to protect and fight for your rights. Specializing in personal injury law, Mike McKell is the attorney you need. Contact Mike at McKell, Christiansen, and Wise.
Well, welcome back to Spanish Fork High School right now. Ryan Pickens and Chris Hurst as right now, the Ridgeline Riverhawks lead this one 10-9, and Chris, kind of a back and forth first half. Spanish Fork scored the first 9, but then Ridgeline scored the next 10.
Yeah, and Ridgeline's led exactly 0 seconds in this ball game because they kicked that field goal then to half. So Spanish Fork got that safety on Ridgeline's first offensive possession as Ridgeline hiked the ball over Stewart's head, and they were lucky that Spanish Fork didn't recover it. And then later on, a couple drives later, Chapel was able to connect to Hunter Clark on a slant route, and that gave Spanish Fork a 9-0 lead. But since that point, Spanish Fork was driving, looking like they were going to open up an even bigger lead, and then Chapel threw an interception, which led Ridgeline to score a touchdown, and then eventually they kicked a field goal at the end of the half.
We neglected to get these on earlier on, so our apologies here, but our Triple T heating, cooling, and plumbing keys to the game, Chris, interesting. Establish the run early, shut down the spread and contain the edge, and then limit the penalties.
Well, they tried to establish the run earlier. They need to go back to doing that. If they can have success on the ground, I think they'll win. And then I think for the most part, they've shut down the spread and contained the edge in parts, but once in a while, like all good football teams, Ridgeline's been able to break that contain and have a couple of good runs and run the spread offense that they run very effective. And then limit penalties. There's been some penalties on both sides, but it seemed like towards the end of that second quarter, Spanish Fork had an unacceptable amount of penalties. So between that and the interception, that's really what's allowed Ridgeline to be in this ball game, because it looked early on like Spanish Fork might run away with this, but now they're in a dogfight, showing by 1 to Ridgeline at the half.
And I think that's one thing head coach Preston Parrish for Spanish Fork and Alex Howell for Ridgeline, I think that's something both coaches will say. Both teams having penalties that really kind of changed the way that end of that second half would come out. Spanish Fork getting pinned back deep, and then on a 3rd and goal from the 1 with 4 seconds left, instead of being able to maybe take another shot at the end zone, a late penalty, and now we have to settle for 3.
Yeah, Ridgeline had to settle for 3 there. If they would have been able to punch it in on down there on that run play when they used the timeout, this lead could even be bigger for Ridgeline. So Ridgeline's done everything they needed to do there late in the second quarter to get back in this ball game and take all the momentum. So if you're Ridgeline, you got to like where you're at. They'll get the ball at the half, and they should offense clicking. So if you're Spanish Fork, you got to come up with a defensive stop or limit the amount of points that Ridgeline's able to get on this opening drive, because I think that's going to be key to who wins this ball game, is who gets off to a fast start here to start the second half. But both defenses, I think, for the most part, have been playing fairly decent.
And right now, I mean, what's at stake in this ball game? The team that wins, they advance to play another week, Chris. Get either Stansbury or Cedar, and in general speaking, from what we've seen, it's really hard for a number 4 seed to go on the road and beat a number 1 seed, but maybe a little bit even tougher for, say, Cedar, because Cedar's going all the way from southern Utah all the way up into Stansbury. Yeah, they're on the west side of west of Salt Lake today, as there's not really a good road that from the Christ flight there. So, yeah, it's going to be tough for Cedar to do it. Last year, though, we covered Maple Mountain in the playoffs. They were able to beat Provo as they were the 2nd seed in Region 8, and then they got aided by a 1-4 upset and got to have 2 home games. So you never know. When you get in the playoffs, it's so crazy scenarios happen. But at the end of the day, if you can't take care of business in this ball game for Spanish Fork, it's not really going to matter. So we will take one final break. We come back, we'll check some scores from throughout the state playoffs and get you ready for the second half. You're watching high school football here on Spanish Fork 17.
Hi, welcome to 2 Jack's Pizza.
For the best pizza you'll ever taste and our world-famous cheese sticks, come to 2 Jack's Pizza on Main Street in Spanish Fork, or call us for a quick delivery. Are you hungry yet?
Come to Dickerson Automotive for all your car repair and maintenance needs. Now is a great time to make sure your car is ready for these cold winter months. We take the time to get to know you and your car to give you peace of mind. Dickerson Automotive, located way north on Main in Spanish Fork.
MVP Sports is the #1 source for sporting goods in Spanish Fork. Football, soccer, all the fall sports, we've got you covered. Check out our new custom t-shirt builder. Design at home and we'll build it for you. MVP Sports, 72 North in Spanish Fork.
The best time to check rely on Triple T to do the job right. Our technicians are trained every year so you can sleep better at night, knowing your furnace is safe to operate. Call Triple T at 798-7711 to schedule your tune-up today.
Well, we welcome everybody back to Spanish Fork High School here, as right now the Ridgeline at the half by a score of 10-9 over the Spanish Fork Dons. The Dons getting ready to take the field here for the second half, and Ryan Pickens and Chris Hurst here with you here at the half. Let's go ahead here, and what we're going to do, we're going to check some scores from throughout the state right here. And just some games of note here for the 4A class. Orem's, they're up 23-0 on Bear River, that one in the second quarter. Orem looked pretty good last week, and the Tigers have looked good all year as Spanish Fork gets ready to come back onto the field. Desert Hills, they're beating Bonneville 17-13, that one in the second quarter. A lot of the games still, so a couple just kicked, including Tooele at Pineview down in St. George, and then Mountain View at Skyview. The Bobcats leading the Bruins, I believe, 14-0 early on. The late game tonight, Park City at Dixie. That one doesn't start until 7. Salem Hills, they're at Crest. So a couple of teams from the local region making the trip further up here. A couple other scores that might be kind of interesting, Chris. At the half, Springville leading Olympus 14-7. You mentioned Chris Skyridge earlier. The Falcons up 35-0 in the second on Skyline.
Wow. Yeah, sounds like there's not been too many upsets so far.
Nothing, I don't think, overly surprising already anyway, just looking through the state. American Leadership, well, they're at Beaver. That one's at 5 p.m. Well, that one just probably kicked about 20 minutes or so ago.
That's a bit of a drive, probably similar to the distance that this Ridgeline team had to travel to make it down here to Spanish Fork.
The second time Ridgeline makes that trip here, so kind of some interesting scores. I don't think anything, of course, out of the ordinary right now that would make you kind of worry if you're in Region 5 or if you're in Class 5. Let's take a look at second half. What do each team need to do if they're going to come out on top?
Well, let's get this after the sponsors. We'd like to thank the Car Guys, Dickerson Automotive, Lance Wilson, State Farm Insurance, Triple T, Mikkel Christiansen, Wise Attorneys at Law, MVP Sports, and Two Jacks Pizza. We'd like to thank those sponsors for making this broadcast and other broadcasts possible. And then also you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, follow our YouTube channel for information and for amazing broadcasts similar to this one. So getting back to your question on some of the keys of the game, I think for Spanish Fork, it's limiting penalties, limiting turnovers. We're eliminating them 100%. And then also continue to maintain that balanced attack when they've had those long drives. They've done well. And I believe for Ridgeline, it's continue to get that offense rolling and then allow your defense to make some of those big plays, and then ball security, or make sure you don't have any mental mistakes on both sides. Like that bad snap by Ridgeline was very costly early in the ball game.
Michael White and Hayden Williams back deep to receive the kickoff for Ridgeline. The Riverhawks will get the football to open up the third quarter. Leo Saili will put a foot into it. A line drive kick that goes out of bounds at around the 31-yard line. And so right there, kind of that low line drive, Chris, and we've seen a lot of those kicks where teams are starting to try to kick it to that open spot on the field and try to see if they can outrun the team down there. That one, though, Saili just kicked a line drive.
Yes, Saili kicked it out of bounds, but Spanish Fork's got to be coming close to state record for having the most kicks go out of bounds in a season. It's been a frequent problem that apparently still hasn't been cleaned up this season.
They'll put the ball at the 35-yard line for the Riverhawks, and really Ridgeline's in a position, Chris, if they can, right now their probably biggest concern is that clock. right now of just kind of maybe trying to burn up as much clock as they can.
Well, I think they're going to need more than 10 points to win this ball game, so I think you still have to be aggressive, but you're right, the clock is on their side if they are able to score another touchdown.
Stewart finds Dale over the middle, and Dale's going to get across the 40 to about the 42-yard line, and again, just go into that middle part of the field right. That will bring up a second down and about 3 coming up as we see again that play action fake there on the Car Guys instant replay.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned just looking at Spanish Fork's sideline. They looked very lethargic. A lot of the guys don't seem to be into the ball game, and that's usually not a good sign, and you really need to ratchet up the intensity both on the field and on that sideline because this is a playoff game.
Second down and about 4 coming up. Stewart gives to Averett. Averett tries to bounce it outside, and it's going to be a first down for Skylar Averett to around the 47-yard line or so. First down, Ridgeline. One thing you're going to see here over the next couple of hours, Chris, that sun's going to set here with just a little over an hour, so shadows are going to start to creep onto the field. Generally something we more talk about in baseball, but what's the effect going to be for receivers and teams like that might be maybe in the sun compared to shadows?
Yeah, it's hard when you're running a route and you're in the sun and then you're out of the sun. It makes it hard to catch a pass or that's where it's going to affect is on the receiving end of passes.
First down and 10. Here's a nice carry up the middle. It's a big open hole there for Averett again, and Averett able to rip off another 4, maybe 5 yards. And a nice pickup there over first down. Some bigger holes begin to open up for the Ridgeline Riverhawks.
Yeah, and Ridgeline did a good job of having possession of the ball. It was probably evenly matched, but you were seeing maybe Spanish Fork wear down a little bit, but looks like Ridgeline might play a lot of guys both ways. I wonder if that might come into effect later in this ball game as well.
Second down and about 5. Ridgeline looking for the 44 to get a first down. Stewart throws over the middle, throws that one high, but it's going to be caught and hauled in there by number 7, Jacob Mora, the senior. He's had a quiet afternoon so far, but there has just enough to be about a yard by the marker.
Yeah, and it'll bring up 3rd and 1, and if you're Ridgeline, you're definitely in 4-down territory, so they don't necessarily need to run it on this play. They might be able to take a shot deep, and we've seen them do that to set up that last field goal right before the half with Stewart throwing to Weta.
Stewart straight ahead. He'll have plenty for the first down inside the 40 as Brady Stewart just took it right up the middle there on the quarterback sneak, and Ridgeline back in biz again at the 40 to 38.
Geez, if you can just quarterback sneak it for 6 yards at a time, you might want to just do that on every play until your quarterback needs a break. Great push that time, but if you're Spanish Fork, you got to be a little disappointed that they didn't meet the challenge at the line that time.
It'll be first down and 10, ball on the 37-yard line. 4 wide receivers here for Ridgeline. Stewart from the gun. Back to throw with some time, being pressured now, rolls away, and he's into about the 26-yard line. The Spanish Fork faithful there wanting a hold, but that will be another first down for Ridgeline.
Yeah, and it was a pretty obvious one as Palapé was held on that edge as he was trying to go. I don't know if the official had a bad angle, but his jersey was definitely being ripped that time, and a non-call right there. So if you're Spanish Fork secondary, though, you got to step up and make a play.
It'll be first down and 10, 9:04 to go, third quarter. Ridgeline's opening drive of the third quarter. The Riverhawks have scored the last 10 points of this ball game. Brady Stewart here with 2 backs. Back to throw with some time. Now has to step up, and he's sacked in the backfield as it was Palapoy who got there from his end spot for the 2 Jacks Pizza quarterback sack.
Yeah, and that was a huge play that time by Palapé as he was able to work his way around the end that time, and really a coverage sack there as well, as there was good coverage downfield, so it ends up second and about 14.
They'll move the ball back to the 30-yard line here for Brady Stewart, who will be once again in the backfield with Dale and Averett. It will be Averett up the middle again, and this time not much going on. Averett might get back to the original line of scrimmage or so. He'll pick up a couple to about the 27-yard line, but that will make it about 11 or so.
Yeah, 11, and so this is a definite passing situation, and I liked how Spanish Fork brought the heat earlier. But if you do that, you got to make sure your corners are able to cover these wide receivers for the Ridgeline.
And you always have to keep an eye on where number 11, Sam Weeda, is. He's going to the bottom of your screen. Lundquist will come up and will play right at the scrimmage. Stewart back to throw. Steps up, looking, spins out of it now. Being pressured, throws it up, has a man wide open at the 11. That's a first down for Ridgeline as it was completed to Skylar Averett. And right now, Ridgeline just getting one of those situations, Chris, where everything's going Ridgeline's way right now.
Yeah, it is, and that was a great job. Spanish Fork had Stewart where they wanted him. They were going to bring him down in the backfield, but credit Stewart for being able to scramble, keep that play alive, and you can't go guys an eternity like that play ran for. So if you're the line, you gotta force him to throw it or sack him in that situation.
Stewart gives right up the middle. Here's Averett to about the 9-yard line or so. It looks like the 10, so he'll get a couple of yards there on first down.
Yeah, it's amazing how this ball game's ebbed and flowed, because Spanish Fork was driving, and then they threw that interception that was returned deep into onto their own territory. And ever since that play, I mean, Spanish Fork had a 9-0 lead, but it's been all Ridgeline since that play.
2nd down and 7. The Riverhawks can get a first down inside the 2. Stewart from shotgun. They'll send a man in motion. Here's the give. Averett trying to get the corner, and he tries to cut it back in. There's a penalty marker that came into the play there late.
There's going to be a hold in there. Looks like there's
Micah White there on the sweep from his receiver spot. This will be a hold coming against Ridgeline, so this will back the Riverhawks up right here and take down whatever. I think that 2nd down play, Chris, just got them back to the line of scrimmage. If they gained, it was only about a yard or so. Here with 6:51 to go here in the 3rd quarter. Ridgeline has had the possession here the entire quarter, and this is the sort of drive you have to be careful if you're Spanish Fork, Chris, because if you use 6 minutes off the clock here, that's going to start putting a sense of urgency on that Spanish Fork offense.
Yeah, and there's plenty of time. The key is not to go 3 and out when Spanish Fork gets the ball.
Stewart gets it out. Here's Wade on the double pass. Has a man. Touchdown, Ridgeline. The Riverhawks. It was Michael White in zone, and that works well there for Ridgeline. And they extend their lead out to 16-9. And that one there, a legal throw from Wade as he was behind the line of scrimmage, and it worked out well.
Yeah, it worked out well, and looks like they're going to go for 2, and that's huge.
There's Wade. He's in. Touchdown. No signal yet, actually.
He's definitely in.
And he's in for the 2-point conversion.
So you know what that does?
Makes it a 2-score ball game.
It does make it a 2-score ball game, and Wade threw the touchdown pass, and Spanish Fork just didn't line up correct on that play. They needed to call a timeout in that situation, because that 2 points is huge, because now they have to score twice.
So an 18-9 lead here for the number 3 seed. The Ridgeline Riverhawks taking on the Spanish Fork Dons right now. And Chris, a big play right now needs to happen if you're Spanish Fork, because it doesn't seem to be a lot of energy and a lot of excitement right now in the black and silver.
Yeah, there's not. And if you're Spanish Fork, you've got to, you can't go 3 and out in this situation. That would just be absolutely deflating. And like we've mentioned, they've got to score twice now. So it's key to see if you can come up with some points on this drive. But that last special teams play was a huge blow.
It will be the 2-yard line on the return. Across the 15, runs into his own man. He'll get pushed across the 30-yard line or so, and a nice return there for Way Stanton, but there's a penalty flag, it looks like, that came in at the end of the play. I'm trying to see where the flag came in at.
It came from the backside. I believe we have a face mask should be the call. That's what I saw, but we'll see what the official call is.
Face mask, a 5-yard penalty here coming here. They'll tack it on to the end of the run. I know they used to have it, like at the college level, Chris, you had the 5-yard incidental for grabbing. But then they got rid of that and just made it a personal foul.
Right.
But I think at the high school level, they kept the 5-yard.
Yeah, we need to get a board to align professional, collegiate, and high school together. Let's get these rules the same. It gets confusing.
1st and 10, ball from the 37-yard line. Chappell back to throw, looking over the middle. He's got Saili for a first down and more. Into Ridgeline territory to the 45-yard line. Chappell goes Saili, who had a very quiet first half. And right there, Saili picks up enough for the first down.
And that's a huge play. Saili was ran a little, looked like hook route that time, was wide open. Chappell gets it to him, and then Saili was able to get quite a few yards after that reception.
Saili right now to the bottom of your screen really came on strong the second half of the season. As Mateen Lomax gets to the 41-yard line, he's tackled there by Junior Damouni from the safety position here for Ridgeline, and a good pickup of a couple right there. Carson Chappell, you can see Carson Chappell looking over the sideline, Chris, having to put his hand up on his helmet there. The sun is coming from right over that side of the field, and it's just going to be just driving Ridgeline here for the next little while.
Yeah, so if you're on that east side of the field trying to make a catch, it's going to be hard because you'll have the sun in your eyes at times.
Chappell goes back, screen pass. That one's knocked up in the air, but Saili able to pull it in before two defenders could get there. A couple of players there for Ridgeline in the vicinity.
That could have been bad. As soon as I saw that ball in the air, my initial thought was it was going to be picked. So great job by Saili fighting for that ball and at least not having him turn over. And I think if you're Spanish Fork, it's a playoff game. It's win or go home. So in this situation, I'm going for 4-down territory right in this situation.
3rd down and 5 minutes to play here in the third quarter. Chappell back to throw with some time, looking over the middle, tries to get in there, it's picked up. Throw behind Stanton, and it's intercepted. Here comes Ridgeline, and he's going to be tackled at about the 48-yard line. It was Damouni, number 3, but was there a penalty flag that came in at the end? I don't see one, and now there is, it looks like here.
Now, I didn't see on the Car Guys instant replay, but did the receiver slip on that play, or was it just another overthrow? I guess we'll never know, except for those that were paying attention at home.
Nonetheless, it's going to be Riverhawk football, and right now the Riverhawks with 4:50 to go in the third quarter. This is where the Spanish Fork defense. It's going to be a 5-yard penalty. Then they're going to tack on a personal foul against Spanish Fork. So I think you're going to have offset. It's either that or they're going to walk off one and then walk off the next one.
Yeah, I think they're going to walk them off, and I think the reason is because it was a dead ball foul.
So they take it back to the 38-yard line, then they'll mark it off, and it's going to put it right around the 47-yard line of Spanish Fork. So Ridgeline, the last time they forced a turnover, it worked out and turned into points.
Yeah, it did, and they also started on the plus side of the field. Of course, last drive they were able to go into their bag of tricks and have a double pass to score a touchdown. So it was all Don's early, but ever since then it's been Ridgeline's ball game.
18 straight Riverhawk points scored here this evening. Brady Stewart from shotgun. Averett will be the back to his right. And the give goes up the middle. Averett there this time will lose about a half, maybe a full yard there. It looked like a last minute maybe miscommunication between quarterback and running back there.
Yeah, it was indeed. But I think the option was available for the quarterback to keep that. The issue Stewart ran into was the line didn't block that time. And if the line doesn't block, it really doesn't matter what you do.
Bring up 2nd and 11 here for.
And credit Ridgeline. Every time they've got in 3rd and deep, they've been able to convert on this on this half.
2nd and 11, and penalty flags fly here from the far side of the field. In the general vicinity there, Chris, of a legal procedure call.
Well, I believe Spanish Fork jumped, and that's, well, maybe they were baited into jumping, and they'll move it back, and that's a huge penalty, as that'll bring up 2nd and 16.
And these are the positions right now that you really want to try and see if you can get Ridgeline into maybe some of these second longs, make Brady Stewart feel a little uncomfortable, because Stewart all afternoon, Chris, hasn't seemed overly comfortable in the pocket.
No, he hasn't at all. He's been unless he's struggling, that's what feels comfortable, I think.
Stewart under center. It's Michael White, number 8, who goes in motion. Stewart rolls out, now being pressured, throws out towards the sideline, has Dale there, who will make a man miss, and Dale will get back to about midfield. He'll pick up a long 4 right there, and it will bring up now 3rd and about 13.
Yeah, and great hustle by Sailu that time, though, as he was blitzing the quarterback, nearly got to the quarterback, and was the guy that rushed clear downfield to make that tackle. Clear, you have to travel about 30 yards as the crow flies to make that tackle.
Bring up 3rd down and 13, 3:10 to go, 3rd quarter. 18-9 lead for the Ridgeline Riverhawks over the Spanish Fork Dons. 3 receivers to the bottom of your screen. Stewart back to throw, looking to set up the screen. They got Weeda there. He's at the 45, and he will be pushed back, breaks the tackle, and then finally a whole host of Dons will get there. And the ball, they're going to say a couple of officials signaling 4th down. We'll see where that ball might have. I didn't see the ball come loose, but
they must have blown it dead, but it came loose.
Oh, there it is, right at the end.
Well, the defense for Spanish Fork steps up, and now we'll have to see if the offense can as well. But Ridgeline had great field position, but too many negative plays, too many penalties really shut that drive down.
A good snap gotten off right here. They get a little bit of pressure there on the punter. Stanton will come up and make kind of the sling catch there. I think he kind of slipped there on the grass at about the 17-yard line. And with 2 minutes and 11 seconds to go in the 3rd quarter, Spanish Fork, Chris, if there's a drive in this ball game that Spanish Fork really needs to get some kind of momentum, give that defense a break, it's probably right now.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. They've got to, best case scenario is they've got to score here, and they need to score twice in this ball game. We've already seen Ridgeline be able to drive the ball and chew up a lot of clock. So,
1st down and 10. Ball will be back at the 14-yard line for Carson Chappell, who's all by himself here on 1st down. Chappell back to throw with some time, looking, steps up. Now he's going to put it down. He's got some green in front of him. Across the 35 to the 40, gets outside, still on his feet across the 50, and he's going to be dropped down at about the 45 of Ridgeline, and that seems to have fired everybody up as Hayden Williams, number 23, gets there, and that's a heads-up play from Carson Chappell.
Yeah, a 38-yard run by Chappell, and it was a lot of broken tackles, a lot of second effort on that run, as we see on the Car Guys instant replay. But that wasn't something we were seeing out of Chappell last year, as he was strictly a pocket passer.
It'll be 1st and 10 to the 45-yard line right now of Ridgeline, and an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty has been called against Ridgeline, so that will tack another 15 yards, I think, onto the end of the play.
And we're starting to see Ridgeline commit more of the penalties in this game, and it's really cost them on that last offensive drive, and now will push the ball to their own territory.
So ball will now be moved. Instead of being at the 45, it's inside. It's right at the 30-yard line here. Chappell has 5 wide receivers again. It looks like Spanish Fork's kind of going to the air raid offense.
Yeah, and they got to set up the chains. That's the delay in the game. I don't know if they got tangled up or what the situation is, but
one thing you're seeing, Chris, and please correct me if I'm wrong, you're seeing a lot of too deep safety over the top right now from Ridgeline.
We'll have to see, but they've definitely had a lot of pre-snap movement with some of their personnel where they've blitzed a guy from the secondary and rotated somebody over right before the snap.
Pressure looks like it might be coming here. Chappell, pressure comes from the outside. Chappell hit as he lets one go, looking for Stanton. He's got a touchdown, Spanish Fork.
Yeah, great throw that time by Chappell, and it's a 30-yard touchdown. And Stanton just got behind the corner that time, and it looked like one-on-one coverage.
Chappell stands in there, and I think that was one where if you're Carson Chappell, you know, hey, I'm about to take a big shot, but stands in there just in enough time to deliver a good ball to Wade Stanton for the touchdown. And now the Carson Chappell's coming over to the bench here right in front of us. He's going to get looked at here by the trainer.
Yeah, and he's laying down on that trainer's table. I think he might just have pulled a muscle or something because they're trying to stretch out his hips.
Spencer Red puts the extra point through, and so with 1:50 to go in the third quarter, it's still anyone's ball game. Ridgeline 18, Spanish Fork 16. These two teams going back and forth, but Chris, that touchdown there, as we'll as taking a look at that really kind of now swings momentum maybe back towards Spanish Fork.
Yeah, it does, and really credit Carson Chappell for having that huge run on that drive and throwing that pass. Really, Spanish Fork with a quick strike offense there. Is, like you said, they went air raid, but I wonder if Chappell's back's hurting him right now because it looked like they were stretching his back out, and it looks like they're going to be putting something on his back.
They've rolled up kind of the back pad and the back of his jersey right now, working on him here right here at about midfield. So we'll see. Parker Swenson does have his helmet on, but right now I don't see any really serious indications that it wouldn't be that Carson Chappell is seriously hurt. Spencer Red will get ready to kick it off here from the 40-yard line, and Red does the low line drive. Fork's trying to say that they touched it, and falling on it back at around the 14-yard line. It worked out well. One of the up back, they're going to say touched it. Spanish Fork immediately pointing to who touched it, but nonetheless, deep in their own field position here will be the Ridgeline Riverhawks to start their next drive with 1:45 to go in the third.
Yeah, and this game has been a swing of momentums. It felt like Spanish Fork had it, and for the middle part of the game, Ridgeline had it, and now Spanish Fork's taking it back. We'll see if Ridgeline's offense is able to move the ball here, but we've definitely had ourselves quite the exciting game, Ryan.
Back and forth we go as Brady Stewart ready to go here. Man goes in motion, and they will give it to Stewart right up the middle on the keeper. And Stewart's going to get pretty close to the first down. He's going to be maybe about a half a yard shy of the marker. Nonetheless, that will bring up a second and about one, and that's a great way to start if you're the Ridgeline Riverhawks.
Yeah, and they've it's been quite the battle between the defensive line and offensive line when Ridgeline possesses the ball, because both teams are fighting hard, and sometimes Spanish Fork wins that battle, and that last time Ridgeline did.
It'll be second and about a yard from the 23. Stewart and Averett again have been pretty much the regular backs today. And Stewart this time again on the quarterback keeper. He'll have enough for the first down across the 25 to about the 27, but there's a penalty flag back kind of in the linebacking, I'm going to just say secondary of Spanish Fork.
And I'll tell you, that back official that threw that face mask, man, that guy had a cannon for an arm. So if any of these teams need a backup quarterback, man, never seen a flag fly that far.
So they'll mark that one off. Preston Parrish right now kind of walking here with the football as it will put the ball, when they spot it, it will be right around the 42-yard line. They'll have a 42 and a half or so right now as they get ready to go. Here, ball on the 42 for Ridgeline for the Riverhawks. 50 seconds to play here in the third quarter. A 2-point lead right now for Ridgeline. Stewart sends a man in motion. That's number 8, Micah White. It's Stewart straight up the middle again, and Stewart will get another 5 yards or so to about the 46-yard line. And that will continue to have that clock move now under 30 seconds to play here in the third quarter.
Yeah, and Ridgeline's just been running the ball up the middle, and they're pulling some of the guards and stuff like that, but they're getting big chunks, and I don't know if it's a Spanish Fork's getting worn down or if Ridgeline is just pounding the ball down their throats.
And that is how we're going to go ahead and end the third quarter here at Spanish Fork High School. We've played 3 complete, and right now we have a good one brewing. It's Ridgeline 18, Spanish Fork 16. You're watching high school football here on Spanish Fork 17.
Hi, welcome to Two Jacks Pizza.
For the best pizza you'll ever taste and our world-famous cheese sticks, come to Two Jacks Pizza on Main Street in Spanish Fork, or call us for a quick delivery. Are you hungry yet?
Come to Dickerson Automotive for all your car repair and maintenance needs. Now is a great time to make sure your car is ready for these cold winter months. We take the time to get to know you and your car to give you peace of mind. Dickerson Automotive, located way north on Main in Spanish Fork.
MVP Sports is the #1 source for sporting goods in Spanish Fork. Football, soccer, all the fall sports, we've got you covered. Check out our new custom t-shirt builder. Design at home and we'll build it for you. MVP Sports, 72 North Main in Spanish Fork.
The best time to check your furnace is before it fails, and you can rely on to do the job right. All year, so you can sleep better at night, knowing your furnace is safe to operate. Call Triple T.
Brady Stewart straight up the middle there on 2nd down and 5, and he'll be about a yard or so shy of the marker. And right now, that seems to be Ridgeline's go-to play here in the second half, has been Brady Stewart on that option play.
Yeah, and that brings up a critical 3rd and 2. Now, if Ridgeline doesn't pick it up, I wonder if they'll go for it here at midfield or if they'll elect to make Spanish Fork drive the field. So a lot of the play calling depends on that mentality. I think they're going to sneak it up the middle with the quarterback.
Stewart under center, ready to go, and Stewart will go play action, rolls out, throws that one, and Zach Buse comes diving or leaping in and bats that one down to bring up 4th down.
Great play by Buse, as you mentioned, breaking that play up, and Spanish Fork did a great job of getting pressure and forcing Stewart to throw that pass well before he wanted to.
We'll give Zach Buse there, Michael Christiansen and Wise attorneys at law. Great defensive play for leaping in there just to knock it down, forcing a 4th down, and we will see Ridgeline punt the football right here. Stanton back deep at about his own 17-yard line. And here's a low line drive punt. Stanton will come up and call fair catch at around the 23-yard line. So not bad starting field position for Spanish Fork. The Dons are back deep here. 11:13 to go here in the 4th quarter. And Spanish Fork right now looking to try to see if they can find a way to regain the lead here. Plenty of time for both teams here, Chris, with just 45 seconds into the 4th.
Yeah, there is, and it's just who's going to make the final play. This game might come down to the last play of the ball game, and both teams, in my opinion, pretty evenly matched, and it might also come down to who makes the most mistakes, as well.
Air raid offense for Spanish Fork right now. Carson Chappell straight up the middle on the quarterback draw. He gets outside across the 40 to 50, and he is off to the foot race. He'll be knocked out of bounds at around the Ridgeline 38-yard line. So right now, Spanish Fork saying, well, your quarterback isn't the only one that can run. Carson Chappell rips off another one on the quarterback draw.
Yeah, and that is a huge gain. He rushed for 31 yards, I believe, on that one. So 2 30-plus yard Chappell runs, and that's something, if you'd have told me that last season, I'd have had a hard time believing. But he's done a lot. Chappell's done a lot of work on his running game as well as his passing game.
1st down and 10, ball on the 46-yard line. Chappell back to throw. With some time, looking there. He's got his man. That's Hunter Clark, but Clark had to dive for it and just couldn't quite come up with it.
Yeah, and if you're Spanish Fork, I wouldn't completely abandon the run in this situation. But I guess they haven't, because they also have the quarterback draw when they go into these situations where they're going 5 wide.
2nd down and 10, ball on the 46-yard line. They're going to go once again that 5 wide set. Watch kind of in the middle there of your screen, Leo Saili there. He's had a quiet afternoon. Back to throw. Chappell, pressure comes, gets it over the middle. That one's going to be caught and making a couple of men miss and being finally pushed out of bounds there. Speaking of Saili, there he is.
Yeah, great job by Saili catching the ball in traffic, there was a lot of activity, but he was able to focus, make that catch, and then turn upfield and get a few extras. And we've seen Saili also improve his hands. He had a case of the drops, and in this season that hasn't been the case.
First down and 10. And ball on the 33-yard line. You could make a case outside of Stanton, really, that Leo Saili, as the season's gone on, has been one of the more consistent wide receivers for Spanish Fork.
And the other one would be Conway, their three-headed monster.
Pressure comes. Chappell hit from behind, and it's going to be an incomplete pass as some pressure, backside pressure, and Chappell just didn't see it, and he is slow to get up right now.
Yeah, he was favoring his back earlier, and he took a shot on that back. On that play, looks like he's going to stay in the ball game, but that's one where your head gets back. That could not feel good.
That's one of those you'll be waking up feeling that one in the morning, as Chappell will, looks like, stay in the ball game right here. It'll be a second down and 10, but we'll see Martin Lomax check in the ball game for the Spanish Fork Dogs.
And they might have to use a timeout. They're not even out of the huddle, and there's 6 seconds. They're going to have to go fast.
Chappell ready to go. He'll get it off with 2. Here's Lomax right up the middle, and Lomax inside the 30 to about the 29-yard line. A good pickup of about 4, and now it brings up third down and about 6.
Third down and 6. You're almost in Spencer Red's field goal range, but I don't know. I think you at least have to get near the first down, and at that point I guess there's a debate whether you just go for it on fourth down. Ball's at the 29. I think he's got a range of about 40 yards, so probably got to get down 27, so maybe a couple of yards away.
And I think there's a difference between what he can hit and what you really feel comfortable.
Exactly.
Conway goes in motion. Chappell back to throw, puts it on the slant route, but puts it behind his intended receiver, Stanton, there on that deep slant route. It was open. Had Chappell put it out in front of Stanton?
Well, I think Stanton had the option to either run the deep post route or run a slant. He runs a post route that time, and unfortunately him and Chappell weren't on the same page. However, Chappell was under duress. The line's got to give him just another second to make that play.
Fourth down and 6 coming here for Spanish Fork. They need to get to right around the 22-yard line. Chappell rolling out, has some time, looking, has a man that's caught by Stanton at the 15, makes the man miss at the 10, another at the 5, and he gets down to about the 1-yard line. A first and goal, Spanish Fork.
And that is a huge 28 yards, and most of the work was done by Stanton after the catch, as he just was found a hole in the zone and then was able to work his way near the end zone.
And now first and goal from the 1, Spanish Fork trying to regain the lead here. They could do that with 6 right now. Chappell in the pistol formation, gives it right up the middle. Lomax driving for the pylon. Can he get in? Is he in? He is going to be short, it looks like. No signal yet. Spanish Fork signal touchdown, but he's going to be a half yard short. Maybe even less than that.
He's down there on the 1. They've got a couple of shots to get it in, but I think if you don't get it in the next 2 downs, you definitely got to kick the field goal. So I guess you try and center the ball on one of these runs.
Well, you have to kind of think how many more opportunities will we get with the football here with 9:04 the clock running. Chappell on the keeper. Can he get it in? Chappell loses, but he does kind of center it here a little bit. And now it's going to be 3rd and 1. You have to give the Ridgeline defense credit for winning that battle up front right now.
Yeah, they've made 2 big stops there at the goal line. I'm thinking if you're Spanish Fork, load up, bring in that fullback, and just hand it to Lomax, see if he can't get in.
Ben Boyack, number 36, the fullback, is on the field right now. You see him right there to the right of Chappell, down in set formation. From the 1, trying to get it in. Chappell throws the football, and it's caught. Touchdown, Spanish Fork. The Dons have regained the lead. I believe, I'm trying to see who it is. I think it was Conway.
Was it Conway? I have no idea. We were blocked from seeing who scored that.
It was Conway or Stanton. I believe it was Conway who came out with it. at the end of the day, it's touchdown Spanish Fork. It's a 4-point game, and so you'll see Spencer Red. They're gonna looks like roll the dice here. Conway and Parker Swenson on the field. Spanish Fork's gonna go for 2. Parker Swenson gives it to Conway. Noah Conway is gonna lose. He throws it at the last second, but nobody in the back of the end zone. And so it's a 4-point lead for Spanish Fork, which is good because the field goal now off the table. If you're Ridgeline, you have to get 6.
Yeah, you do. And I don't know why you go for 2 because you would only put you up by 6. I guess your thinking is if we're down by 6 and they miss an extra point, the game's tied. So I guess I do see the logic now that I've tied myself into it. But great job by the Spanish Fork Dons, who looked like they were dead in the water there. And now they've got a 22-18 lead. They were trailing 18-9 just a few minutes ago, and they've done good to score back-to-back touchdowns off Chapel throws.
Let's take a moment here on Spanish Fork 17 here before kickoff to thank our sponsors for making each and every week possible. We want to thank Tony Basso of the Car Guys, Dickerson Automotive, Lance Wilson, State Attorneys at Law, Triple T Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, MVP Sports, and 2 Jacks Pizza. We thank everybody for making broadcasts possible each and every week. We want to remind you to follow our pages on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram to keep up with the latest shows, live broadcasts, and our SF-17 staff. Just look for Spanish Fork 17. Saili puts a foot into this one, and it will go to about the 14-yard line for Hayden Williams. Williams makes a couple men miss, gets outside, and then he will run into a host of Dons. And a couple of Dons getting there on the tackle back at about the 33-yard line, and that will be first down for Ridgeline. And the Riverhawks, Chris, who scored 18 straight points, now find themselves down by 4 here with 8:14 to go. What's your kind of philosophy and thought right now if you're the Ridgeline Riverhawks?
Well, you can't make any more costly penalties. We saw that shut down a couple of drives here. If you're Ridgeline, you got to get back to doing what you were doing best, and that is throwing the ball off your spread formation. It looks like they're going under center.
First down and 10, ball on the 33-yard line. Here, Stewart will give the Skylar Averett. Averett will get a couple. Now will move the pile out to about the 36-yard line or so. A gain of 3 on first down. And that will be a kind of slow and steady wins the race is the idea. But right now, Ridgeline, who, Chris, really they have the offensive potential right now to use 6 minutes off this clock pretty easy.
Yeah, they do. And the other thing is they're not in any hurry. They're not one of these hurry-up teams. They're going to huddle after every play.
2nd and 7, ball on the 36-yard line. Brady Stewart by himself. Back to throw with some time. Steps up, pressured from the backside. Looking, got Huida, who makes the catch across the Spanish Fork 45. He is knocked out of bounds at around the 43-yard line. A big first down there. Brady Stewart almost running out of real estate before hitting the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and Stewart is like Houdini back there. He just keeps escaping, and he's got that escapability factor, and that's one of the intangibles he brings is he keeps plays alive, which allows guys that were well covered like we did to eventually break open and find a hole in the defense, because it's about impossible to guard somebody for more than 4 or 5 seconds.
Ridgeline gets the football now on the Spanish Fork side of the Riverhawks. Here's Hayden Williams trying to get outside, cuts it back up the middle, and Williams kind of giving a change of pace there. Will pick up about 9 on the 1st and 10 play. He'll bring up 2nd and 1 here for the Riverhawks, and right now Ridgeline trailing in this one, but moving the football like they have the lead.
Yeah, they do, and I mean, evenly matched teams. When they played earlier, Spanish Fork won 22-8, but definitely been a lot of improvement on both sides, and Ridgeline's, I think, made some tweaks to their offense, and now they're going I formation with 2 tights.
I formation set. Williams again, the deep back. He'll get the call. Hayden Williams will have enough for the first down right around the 29.5-yard line of Spanish Fork. Now remember, the thing to keep in mind, like Chris mentioned when the Dons took the lead, is a field goal right now doesn't do you much good if you're Ridgeline. You need 6 at this point. to really make a difference. And then it's Wida against Caleb Lundquist. I formation set. Stewart back to throw. Looking end zone. Has a man. It is caught for a Ridgeline touchdown. And the Riverhawks regain the lead as it is going to be Dale.
Step on it and the ball was dropped in there. And now Spanish Fork lines up directly and the Riverhawks will try the extra point.
The extra point is going to be through, and so with 4:29 to go, it's a 25-22 lead for Ridgeline. The Riverhawks and the Dons going back and forth, and right now, Chris, this is one of those situations where there's really plenty of time. If you're Spanish Fork, you can open up that entire playbook.
You can. It's there's 4:25 to go. You have 2 timeouts. I guess if you 3 bad plays to open this drive and you haven't taken too much time off the clock, you could probably punt it as well. But the ideal scenario would be to move the ball down methodically and either kick a field goal or a touchdown to win this ball game. But field goal is definitely still in play because you're down 3 if you're Spanish Fork.
It's Saili and Stanton back deep to receive. Stanton to the top of your screen, Saili to the bottom. And we're about ready to kick here with 4:29 to go in the fourth quarter. It will be Stanton. Watch out. He's dangerous in the return game. Across the 15. Picks up a block, and then will be brought down inside the 20-yard line at about the 18 for the Spanish Fork offense. And Carson Chappell, who has been a little banged up, it appears anyway, in this ball game, will come out to lead that Spanish Fork offense.
Yeah, and like you said, they've got their full playbook available. I wonder if they might try and run it here as they've been throwing on first down and see if they can establish the run on this drive.
1st and 10. It's going to be back at their own 11. Here's Mateen Lomax straight ahead. And the marker actually was at the 18-yard line. So Lomax will get about 4. They're out to the 22 on first down. A respectable first down play.
And that might have been one of those scenarios where you actually would want to throw it. They were moving a lot of guys to that near side of your screen as that play was being snapped, and but the run was being called, so you got to go with the initial call.
2nd down and about 7, 3:44 to go here in the fourth quarter. Chappell back to throw, sets up the screen to Stanton. Stanton makes one man miss, but then runs into 2 Riverhawks, and I think might have lost a half a yard. And now it's going to bring up 3rd down and about 7 coming up, maybe 8, but I think it's going to be more like 7.5.
Yeah, you're right, and a passing situation, so watch for the Riverhawks to blitz in this situation, and Chappell's going to need some time to throw it here.
Spanish Fork needs the 28 to move the chains. Chappell rolling out, feeling some pressures, throws, has a man. That's Saili for a first down to about the 37. Pushed out of bounds well and deep into the sidelines, but that will be a first down. Nice job by Carson Chappell on the offensive line there, giving Chappell plenty of time.
Yeah, and that was a huge pickup on 3rd down. That was one of those situations where you don't want to have to think about going for it on 4th. And Saili with the sure hands comes up with the catch near the sideline, and Spanish Fork back in business.
3:03 to go, fourth quarter, 2 timeouts. Dons trailing by 3. The longer you go on this drive, the more likely it starts to appear that it's 4-down territory. Chappell back to throw with some time, taking a shot deep, has Stanton, goes up and catches it at the 42-yard line of Ridgeline.
That was a great job of Stanton finding that ball in the air. It was a high arcing pass and going up and getting it at its highest point. That was kind of a dangerous pass, but Stanton won the jump ball in the situation.
1st down and 10. They're at the Sky Ridge 42-yard line. 5 wide receivers. Chappell straight ahead. This time nowhere to go as Chappell will lose about 5 yards.
And there's a penalty there, and it looks like it's going to be a late hit on that play.
Personal foul coming against Ridgeline. Carson Chappell, man, I tell you, he's going to wake up tomorrow and taken some hits in this ball game, and not just gotten hit once or twice, Chris, but he's been hit hard.
Yeah, and that's 2 games in a row. Orem last week, I don't know if saw it on, or who saw that last week in person or on KJazz, but he took a beating in that game as well. So back-to-back weeks where he's getting beat up, but he's young, and you recover a lot quicker when you're 17 years old than you do when you get older. So I'm sure he'll be just fine, but at the end of the day, he's got to get a little bit more protection.
First down and 10, ball on them, down to the 32-yard line here for Spanish Fork. It's a 1st and 10. Chapel back to throw. Pressure comes. They get into Stanton. Stanton's going to fight towards the first down. He'll have enough for the marker to about the right to the 20-yard line or so. And that's going to be enough for a Spanish Fork first down. And with 2:39 to go here in the fourth quarter, the Dons right now are moving the football.
And Stanton seems to be the favorite target of Chapel on this drive, and he's been very reliable on the outside. He's been open on this drive, and a nice safety valve.
First down and 10, ball on the 20-yard line. They're going to go 4 wide receivers. Lomax straight ahead, inside the 10, still on his feet to about the 8-yard line or so. A pickup at 12 for Mateen Lomax. And right there, Chris, that's the sort of thing you're talking about, that well-timed run.
Yeah, and Ridgeline's going to take a timeout here, but well-timed run, good timing, way to mix it up on the play calling here for Spanish Fork. And so they're trailing by 3, but they have the ball inside the 9, and I'm guessing you got 3 shots to get it in here, or you're going to probably take the field goal.
I wouldn't think that getting now into a favorable field goal range, Chris, you're going to take the shot of going forward on 4th unless maybe you're 100% sure you're going to get it in. And with the way the Ridgeline defensive line is played, I don't think there is a 100% surety that you're going to get it in.
Yeah, both lines have been playing hard, and it's been a battle. I mean, it's one of the ball games where you feel bad that somebody has to lose because they're so evenly matched. Both teams are playing hard, and but at the end of the day, somebody has to win. So we'll see who can make the final play here. And even if Spanish Fork scores here, I wouldn't count Ridgeline out because both teams are going to fight till there's triple zeros on the scoreboard here.
First and goal from the 8-yard line for Spanish Fork. They'll go to 4 wide receivers. Keep an eye on the receivers, Stanton to the bottom and Siley to the top of your screen. Here's Chappell's going to keep it, and he's going to get tripped up at about the 6-yard line, or he was going to have 6.
Yeah, he's tripped up there, gets a couple of yards, but so close to him breaking that and getting in the end zone.
Second down and goal from the 5, under 2 minutes, and Spanish Fork now seems content just to let that clock run.
And why not? You want to give Ridgeline as little time as possible. Obviously, you'll score it if that play is available, but take as much time as possible.
6 on the play clock. Here's the give up the middle. Lomax trying to dig, and he's going to be short. He's going to be down to the 4. He'll gain about a half yard, and now it's going to be 3rd down, and we got a timeout called by Spanish Fork, it looks like. So the Dons now down to 1 timeout with 90 seconds left to play here in this one.
And I guess you want to get the perfect play call and think about it, but at the same time, I know you're down, but the clock was kind of your friend. You want to give Ridgeline as little time as possible, but scoring is more important, so Spanish Fork is going to use the timeout here. So if you're Spanish Fork, it's 3rd and 4, pretty much 3rd in the ball game here. So you want to come up with the perfect play call. I'm thinking you want to put the ball in the air, but I'm definitely going to maybe roll Chap out or go play action just to kind of confuse the defense if possible.
And with the way Chappell's been running, Chris, that rollout idea gives you the option of if Chappell likes what he sees, he can throw it, or if he wants to take off, he can run.
Absolutely, that's correct.
3rd and goal from the 4. Chappell rolling out, looks back to the other side. Double coverage, it's intercepted in the end zone. Chappell underthrew it, and coming up, reception was Junior Dalmooney, and now everything kind of changes, and with 1:29 and only 1 timeout, I'm not sure how much you can stop the clock.
Well, they burned that last time out, but at the same time, that's the last thing you want to do is turn it over because a field goal would have tied this ball game up. But both teams are playing hard here, and if the Ridgeline pretty much can nil the ball here. Spanish Fork only has one timeout.
Minute 25 will remain in this one.
So, and there's quite a few Ridgeline fans that made the trip down here, and they're definitely excited about that pick in the end zone.
And now Brady Stewart here, who will huddle here in formation. The biggest thing to remember if you're Ridgeline here, Chris, is not to have a problem on the snap. Stewart under center. He will turn. He'll take the knee. And now they will let that clock run. So Spanish Fork seems content right here.
Well, they've only got one timeout. So
you have to use it wisely, so to speak.
You got to call that timeout as soon as the whistle blows to maximize it.
My guess is you're going to probably try to hold that for third down.
Yeah.
You may get the football back, Chris, but you're not going to have very much time left.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
There's the second down play, and now the knee's taken.
So when the ball's... So looks like there's going to be...
The hard part is right now, you're looking at somewhere in the range of 10 seconds.
Yeah, there'll be about 10 seconds when he's able to snap. It'll take a second or two, so you'll be able to use that timeout.
So you'll need Stanton probably on a good punt return, and then maybe have one play with Chappell going deep. Stewart will take a knee here with 12. Timeout called immediately. They didn't take it all the way down before taking the knee. And with 12 seconds now, are you going all-out block?
Yes, you're going all-out block. And, you could set up for the return, but quite honestly, the Ridgeline's going to be more worried about the block, so I don't think they'll be putting too much pressure down on Stanton or Saili, who look like both of those guys are going back.
So 12.6 remain on the clock. Spanish Fork.
The other thing is you can't let this punt bounce. Even if you're going to fair catch it or just dive on it to give your team one more offensive play, Spanish Fork's got to be smart and have those return guys jump back there, and I think that's why they're going to have two of them.
And so it will be Stanton and Saili will be back deep to biggest thing right now to keep in mind if you're Ridgeline, you want no problems with the snap, and you want nothing right now that could affect it. The punter will be about a yard deep in his end zone. Stanton and Saili both back and right around the middle of the field at their own 50. Saili back at the 45. Ridgeline late getting their last man on the field. Ridgeline, they have the three guys back deep to try to prevent and block. It's a low snap. It's a line drive punt, and they're going to let it bounce.
Clock never started.
Picks it up. Now the clock begins to start. Saili throws it back to Stanton. And Stanton throws it now back to Gavin Campbell. And now this is it. You got to score on this play. Here's Saili. Back at his own 25-yard line. Throws it back to Buse. The ball's back now inside the 2. And he's brought down, and Ridgeline will advance to the next round of the state playoffs.
Oh, and all Spanish Fork had to do.
And there's a penalty flag, however, at the 20.
There's a fight.
And a fight now breaking out here onto the middle of the field between both teams. Players trying to hold back. There's some students now, it looks like. Well, no students, sorry, just right now. And some very frustrated players for sure. And now some helmets being thrown as well right now onto the field. And this is probably going to be one of those things. They probably will not shake hands. They'll probably just yield. However, we'll have to wait what the penalty marker is for right here.
Yeah, and there's no reason for Spanish Fork to do that. They needed to get down on that punt and take it for a fourth down. They thought there would be no time left, and they wanted to run that play. But
well, and especially with the clock and with getting to the 45-yard line, Chris, they could have, if they would have just gone down there at the 45, you would have had about 8 seconds or so with one timeout. You would have had probably two plays, a quick one to the sidelines and then heave one.
Yeah, and I wonder what they're going to do with this penalty, because if it's on Ridgeline during the play, there's 25 seconds. There's one more play in this ball game possibly.
And right now, I think I think they're just gonna end it, is what it looks like. I don't think they're even gonna call the penalty here. We're waiting to see what the call is. Spanish Fork's already started ahead to the 50-yard line right now. Now,
a lot of confusion going on.
This ball game's over. So Ridgeline will advance to the next round, a 25-22 hard-fought victory for the Riverhawks. I don't see any indication that anything like that is going to change. The teams are already shaking hands, and a conversation, I believe, between maybe one of the the principal for Spanish Fork was out talking with the officials. The officials are heading off the field. This one is over. Ridgeline will advance at 25.
They got one more play, I think.
Well,
it's over.
It's over. The officials are going off the field. So we'll take our final break here on Spanish Fork 17. When we come back, we'll wrap this one up for the final time this year for high school football on Spanish Fork 17, and we'll have our MVP Sports MVP of the game. You're watching high school football here on Spanish Fork.